Section 1, Introduction. It covers the topic of how many tests that you take, what are the medical requirements, how is the driver being disqualified, or what disqualifies a driver, other safety rules, and international registration program. You will need a lot of information when you drive a commercial vehicle in order to be able to deal with the legal requirements, with the technical requirements of dealing with the public and with the authority, the federal authority, the state and the federal authority. So the introduction is very important to give you a general idea about your status, your relationship between the federal government, the state, and the public. As we said before, every state has a minimum requirements to fulfill towards the federal government. The state can go beyond the federal requirement and put more restraints or require more tests, but it cannot go under the federal requirements for commercial licensing. The commercial driver manual provides information that needed to take the tests. When we say CDL, it means commercial driver license. You're going to remember that all your life once you get into commercial driving. Where do you get the CDL? You get it from the Commercial Motor Vehicle Department. When do you need a CDL or what for? You must have a CDL to operate the following vehicles. You will notice now the weight and the combination will determine what kind of CDL or commercial driver license that you will need. Number one that you need a driver license for is any single vehicle with gross vehicle weight rating. You're going to see that abbreviation a lot outside the trucks, outside the trailers, on the trains, on the train trailers, the gross vehicular weight rating. If you drive a single vehicle that is over 26,000 pounds, 26001 means over 26,000 pounds or more, you have to have a commercial driver license. That is if you drive a single vehicle. If you drive a combination of vehicle with a gross combination weight rating, note the difference between the C here and the V here. That is gross combination weight rating. If that combination over 26 pounds, you will need a commercial driver license, provided that the gross vehicle weight rating of the vehicle being towed, which means a trailer, have to be in excess of 10,000 pounds. Remember here, there is two restrictions here. If the total of the combined gross weight, 26,000, and your trailer more than 10,000, you need a commercial driver license. What happens if your trailer is 9,000 pounds and you are over 26,000? You will not need a commercial driver license unless the first condition is satisfied. The first condition, a single vehicle, 26,000, or two vehicles over 26,000 with the condition that the trailer exceeds 10,000. In the case number 3, any vehicle that transports 16 passengers or more, including the driver. So the weight of the vehicle here is not important. What's important here is the number of people in the vehicle. Any size vehicle which requires hazardous material black cards. Black cards are the signs, the diamond signs that are placed on the four sides of the vehicle. Those are called the black cards, and they have different colors and different labels, different description that describe the kind of material, the 9 classes of hazardous material that are tabulated by the government. Here is the weight is not important. Any car, even a small car that has hazardous material, you have to have a commercial driver license because of the knowledge that is needed. We talked about the classification of commercial driver license according to the federal standards, and we also talked about the endorsement. Endorsement are the permits that are needed for the commercial driver to have on his license in order to transport certain cargo. Another way, the classification of the commercial, the CDL A, B, and C, relates to the weight of the vehicle and the complexity of the vehicle, while the endorsement relates to the nature of the cargo. A, B, and C are progressive, which means if you have Class A, you can drive B or C. If you have Class B, you can drive B and C. If you have Class C, you can drive only C. Class A, combination vehicle. Most truck drivers that drive combination, which means the semi and the trailer, have to have Class A. Gross weight, the combination weight, is over 26,000, provided that the trailer is over 10,000. If you have a Class A license, considerable skill and knowledge, you can drive Class B and C. Class B license, any straight vehicle, the single vehicle have to be 26,000 or more pounds. Or if that single vehicle is towing a trailer that is less than 10,000 pounds, the difference between Class B and Class A is the weight of the trailer. Here, the weight of the trailer, he'll have to be more than 10,000, and the trailer here cannot be more, not in excess of 10,000. And as we said, if you have Class B license, you can drive Class B and Class C license because the skill and the knowledge are more in Class B than in Class C. The Class C is different from Class A and Class B, so the weight here is not as important, but the weight have to be less than 26 pounds for the combined vehicle, or if there is a trailer in towing, the trailer have to be less than 10,000. But it has to deal with this very specialized function, which is either transporting passengers or transporting hazardous materials. That is Class. Under Class C, there are many varieties of vehicle that require more skills. You can consider Class C a specialized field of cargo. The cargo describes the nature of Class, not the weight. Now we have the commercial driver license, A, B, and C. If you need endorsement, which means permits, endorsement are permits to transport special kind of cargo or passengers. Remember now, you have two kinds of licenses here. The CDL license, which means that is the driver that is fully licensed commercially, or a commercial learner permit. That is a driver that have passed the knowledge test and did not yet complete the skill tests, which means the inspection, the control, and the on-road tests. That driver have what we call it commercial learner permit. The commercial learner permit can have only endorsement on that permit passengers, school bus, or tank. Another way, a learner cannot have triple, cannot have the double, cannot have hazardous material during the learning process. The first endorsement you need is abbreviated with T, letter T. That is for the double and triple trailers, which means you are towing more than one trailer. It's an extra permit that is added in your driver license because the complex nature of the combined vehicle requires additional knowledge. The whole idea here is additional knowledge. But you don't go to the Department of Motor Vehicle to be tested on how to do it, on how to perform it practically. You are only going to the motor vehicle department to take the special knowledge test that will give you a permit on the license. So the test is a written test. The second endorsement, that is if you need it. You don't have it if you need it. I don't have it. I don't drive a tank. I don't drive double or triple. I will not do it. It's a waste of money and the time and life. It's very complicated and it is already miserable. You drive a tractor and trailer, that's enough. Because you're going to spend a minimum of 3 years being abused by everybody, making under $50,000 before you get the experience. And when you get the experience, it depends on how lucky can you get a job that can bring you money over 100,000 without having to be an owner-operator. An owner-operator is a nightmare. To drive a tank, you need to have a written test, not a practical test. You don't have to take a tank to go to the motor vehicle to show them how to drive a tank. You have a commercial driver license. You have to take the written test, transporting liquids, gases, kind of tanks, 190 gallons. And the aggregate rated capacity, 1,000 gallon or more. Why do you need a special license to drive a tank? Is because of the shifting of fluids. When you have a tank and the center of gravity is high, which means because the fluid have almost this uniform density, the center of that is like a tank. It shifts as you drive. So you can hit the brake and suddenly it shifts this way or it shifts that way and it can roll over. And the center of gravity is high, which means it's right here, not in the bottom. That causes you to have lateral forces that are harder to predict and shifting with that change of momentum. So the driver have to have a special test, special knowledge, which means you have to learn how to stop, how to slow down, and how the liquid shifts inside the tank, and what kind of partitions you have to have inside the tank to avoid having abrupt acceleration. The endorsement P, which is passenger. If you want to transport 15 people beside yourself, you have to have a commercial driver license. To do that, you pass a test on the special knowledge in this book that we are studying now. Now, the hazardous material, or the H endorsement, you only do that if you are required to. Because I did not have it for so long until I got a job that required me to transport hazardous material. And you have to read the chapter on the hazardous material and go to the state and get the test and have the background check. Who does it? The Transportation Security Administration. That is another agency inside the Department of Transportation that have to check your background to make sure that you are not a threat to the society. You have to get your criminal record, the immigration status, FBI record. That will take some time. I think it took me over a week to get the clearance, and you have to have fingerprints. And it is not a fun thing to transport hazardous material because you have to know how to separate them. You have to know what material goes with what material, and you have to know the rules of driving with hazardous material, what roads you take, who you're supposed to call, what kind of paper you should carry. It is very complicated, and I don't know why anybody would do it. I did it before because he said it's going to be just a very little stuff like home cosmetic material, few bottles in the truck, seldom exceed 1,000 pounds. I said, okay. Now, if you want to drive a school bus, the school bus has passenger in it. You also have a very different kind of knowledge because you have children. The safety considerations here are different from just any passengers. The restrictions that can be added to your commercial driver license are listed for every state. It used to be in the past that everybody drives manual transmission. Today, very few people drive manual transmission. The trucks that belong to 2018 and before, most of them were manual. Today, everybody drives automatic. The E restriction, no manual transmission because the driver was not trained to drive a manual transmission and the driver have to have automatic transmission. Intrastate transmission, if an applicant certifies their status as either non-exempt intrastate or exempted intrastate, the state must indicate. Intrastate means you can only drive commercially in the state. Restriction L, no air brake equipped, which means the driver is not trained or not supposed to drive a vehicle with air brakes. Air brakes means the driver have to have the knowledge and the training to test the capacity of the air pressure of the vehicle, the leak, how much leak occurs during when the engine is shut off, and how much leak happens after every time you brake, and how many times you have to hit the brakes before you go under the 60 psi, and whether you get warning or not. If an applicant applying for a passenger endorsement performs the skill test in a passenger vehicle requiring a Group B CDL, the state must indicate on the CDL, if issued, that the person is restricted from operating a passenger vehicle requiring a Group A CDL. The person wants the Department of Motor Vehicle to get his commercial driver license, but he took with him a passenger vehicle, not a combination vehicle. That person cannot drive a combination with a trailer over 10,000. Restriction in no class A or B. Of course, here if the applicant applying for a passenger endorsement performs the skill test in a passenger vehicle requiring a Group C CDL, the state must indicate no tractor trailer. If the applicant performs the skill test in a combination vehicle for a Group A with the power unit and the towed unit connected with a pintle hook, the state must indicate on a CDL, if issued, that the person is restricted from combination connected with the fifth wheel. The restriction B, no passenger in commercial vehicle bus. That is a CLB learner. You only have permit, you can only carry the people who are inspecting you. Restriction X, no cargo on commercial tank vehicle. That's also applied only to the CLP, the commercial license permit. The person who is in the process of having only a permit but not fully licensed as a commercial driver license. To get a CDL, commercial driver license, or CLP, commercial learner permit, so you have to pass the knowledge test, and you have to have the complete entry, training, and the skill test. Now we summarize the classes, what class you need. If you have a combined vehicle, if it is over 26,000 or more pounds, yes, if it is over, you have another two conditions. The first condition here is that you are over 26,000, the combined weight. Here, if the trailer is over 10,000, then you need a Class A license. So to get a Class A license, you have to have a combined trailer and a tractor, or two units. Both of them are over 26,000, and the trailer must be over 10,000. You must have a Class A. If they are 26,000, but your trailer is under 10,000, then you have another test. If the power units only, the power unit, which means a straight truck, over 26,000, your trailer is under 10,000, then you need Class P. So the difference between Class P and A is the trailer only, under 10,000. Now, if you are under the gross is under 26, that is a specialized vehicle that either passenger or hazmat that you require Class C. If you have Class A, you can drive B and you can drive C, provided that you have the endorsement. If you have B, you can drive B and C. If you have C, C only, you cannot drive the other ones.